This week on Supercars Torque, I preview the Beaurepairs Symmons Plains SuperSprint. Peter Adderton talks about buying supercars. There's a couple of entries up for grabs at the end of the year. And Image Racing is disqualified from Bathurst. First up this week, my favourite topic, Todd Hazelwood is on fire. Scandia has joined the Brad Jones racing team for the Symmons Plains race. Typically, this has been a Tickford sponsor over the years, most notably taking the full sponsorship on the Thomas Randall wildcard that we saw back in 2019 now at the Bend. I think that paint job looked better. It's not bad. The flames down the side, it's a bit kind of 80s muscle car, I suppose. And it's more of a polished black on the Brad Jones car, whereas it was a bit more of a flat black with the orange really popped on that Thomas Randall. And typically the paint jobs look better on the Mustangs because it's a better looking car than the ZB Commodore. There will be 2 racing entitlements contracts up for tender. So if you're interested in entering the category, well, here is your chance. I believe this is the ones handed back from Tickford and Gary Rogers at the end of 2019. So the obvious choices are not Tickford and Gary Rogers, surprisingly. Tickford is definitely in the mix. I'd say they're a lock to get one of the licenses. Gary Rogers, they've said they're not interested. Whether that's true or not is a different matter. And Erebus has said they're not interested in expanding to 3 cars like they were talking about. They were talking about expanding into 3 cars because they had Dave Reynolds under contract for 10 years. They'd signed Will Brown to replace Anton De Pasquale, but they didn't definitely know that Anton was leaving. I'm not sure if that 3-car talk was a bit to quell the rumours about Anton leaving or not. They're not interested in 3 now, obviously, because they've lost their big Penrite backing and things like that. And there is always, Peter Addison and the boost money could come and go as he wishes. And although they have got both Brody and Will Brown under contract for 2 years, we all know what Erebus contracts are made of. I think they use invisible ink or something on the contracts. So Brody is definitely not a lock in there. I think he's the front runner to take Jamie Whincup's seat for next year. The other contenders, though, to get one of these licenses, Blanchards have made no secret that they want to be a 2-car team at some point in the future. Maybe let's walk before you can run with that one. Matt Stone Racing, they did want to enter 3 cars this year. They wanted to have the Jake and Zane as full-time drivers and then have another super light kind of car where you had 2 young blokes and continue on that super light thing with the 3rd car. Peter Adderton, his name keeps coming up. I will discuss something else about him soon. I envisage him more likely at the moment to continue with this kind of Erebus and Tickford sponsorship deal because it's a ton cheaper, and then maybe buy out a more vulnerable full team in the future, depending on how Gen 3 goes. The other question is, are there any Super 2 teams interested in stepping up? The most likely candidates are Eggleston's and Matt White. Both of them seem very entrenched in Super 2, and it just... they've run wildcards in the past, but it's a massive step up for kind of those guys, and they don't have a big backer or anything behind them to make that step up. The Human headline, Peter Adderton, has come out this week and said he has considered buying supercars. Well, I've also considered marrying Angelina Jolie. Yeah. He keeps getting airtime, and I mean, I'm talking about it as well. So yeah, I mean, anyone else interested in buying supercars? Apparently, it's worth a lot less. Yeah, I'm willing to chip in $50 or so. There we go. Big news: Supercars Torque has thought about buying supercars. Let's have a big article about it. The man knows how to get his name and Boost Mobile out there and into the public's mind. Whether you love or hate the way he does it, everyone in the kind of category knows what Boost Mobile is and knows who he is. So although you might not be buying his products, at least you know what it is and know what they do. So I suppose he's doing a good job. Jordan Boys, who races for Image Racing, has been disqualified from race 2 at Bathurst, the Super 2 race there. He was only disqualified from race 2, not race 1, because they can't prove that in race 1 the engine was out of specification. It was the same engine used all weekend. So that's a very interesting part of the equation. This is a Walkinshaw performance engine as part of Image's the Erebus Junior team. So the Erebus uses Walkinshaw engines. That's why Image is using the Walkinshaw engines. How this all came about. Last year, the Walkinshaw had some trouble with damaging a few engines. Then COVID-19 hit and things like that. They had to rebuild the engines for the main series guys, so Erebus and Walkinshaw Andretti United. They didn't have enough parts for all the engine rebuilds, so they asked if they could use this cylinder head from a 2015 development engine because they had that lying around, and Supercars said, yeah, that's fine in the Super 2 car. Now, apparently that was all fine, but this has caused it to make too much power. There is a accumulated power limit thing that the Supercars engines are allowed to have, and because of this cylinder head and the tuning or whatever, it made too much power. So it was a non-conforming engine according to the stewards because it had this development cylinder head in, although apparently Supercars had said it was okay, but it also made too much power. So either way you skin the cat, it was illegal. It's a tough one because it's not Image Racing or Jordan Boys' fault, but you were the one running the illegal engine, whether that's come from a supplier or whatever. Do the crime, do the time, in my opinion. They were only disqualified from the one race. A lot of people have called saying, oh, well, Scotty got a 30k fine for their illegal engine at Bathurst. Main game's a little bit different to Super 2. Both of them were supplied by outside suppliers. The issue with Scott's engine was that it was breaking down, essentially, and that put it out of specification. This one was essentially the wrong part fitted, which meant it made too much power. Scott's didn't make any extra power. Then I've seen a lot of comments with people saying, oh, well, how much extra power did it make? Like, if it's 1 horsepower, that's a bit unfair. Like, if it's 30 horsepower, well, yeah. Essentially, though, you've made too much power. And then if you say, oh, I made 1 horsepower more, that's okay. Everybody's then going to make 1 horsepower more, and then, oh, yeah, she's fine. It's a bit like Scott's one. If there was an advantage to be had from, if they turned around and said, oh, that's fine, then everyone will be trying to find that advantage and go, oh, well, it's only this little bit out. Yeah, it's one of those hard situations. It has happened. Once again, it's surprising that it's taken this long for this to come out. A bit like the McLaughlin engine penalty being, miles down the track after the event. But it is also good that things like this are getting picked up and, people aren't getting away with cheating in the category. And so on to the racing. We have got the Beaurepairs Symmons Plains SuperSprint this weekend. It will be 3 sprint races of 44 laps each. I suppose nice, short, sharp racing for the weekend. 1 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Last time out, Scott McLaughlin and Shane van Gisbergen shared the wins over the weekend. There was only 2 races back then. This is the one, because they didn't race there last year because of the pandemic. So 2019 was the last time we were down in Tasmania. This is the round where Frosty put the car on pole. And it is typically a Triple 8 track, which was proven because Frosty was in his Triple 8 gear. So we can only see Shane van Gisbergen winning all 3 races again because Scott's not there to stop him. Having said that, though, Fabian typically here was there or thereabouts with Scotty. One of the few tracks where he really excelled at. He actually got Penske's first win in the category here, beat Scotty to winning a race for Penske. So I expect that Local Legends car to, that'll be banging on it is a Triple 8 car too, so it's, it's going to be banging on the door of Shane van Gisbergen. I jest about that. But yeah, if anyone's hoping for anything other than Shane van Gisbergen win over the weekend, I think you're going to be bitterly disappointed, but fingers crossed for some mixed up results. So that's it for this week's episode of Supercars Talk. Down in the comments, let me know what you think about the Jordan Boys engine disqualification. Who do you think is going to pick up the remaining 2 racing entitlements contracts? I think fairly it's going to be a lock that Tickford gets one for Thomas Randall. And let me know if you think anyone other than Shane van Gisbergen is going to win over the weekend. Until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.